Dude, are we recording?
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the update in Alyssa Turney's case?
Yes.
Holy shit.
I know.
Do you want to give people a brief rundown of the Alyssa Turney case?
So in 2001, I think, Alyssa Turney went missing was it in Phoenix or like Tempe, or it was in the Phoenix
The Desert
area.
Ridge area. Yes.
Yeah.
Like North Phoenix. But Phoenix, yeah, North Phoenix.
Yeah. So she lived with her stepdad and sister.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother had, I don't quite recall, she'd either passed away or left.
She passed away from, I want to say, cancer.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
She was in high school, and one day she got pulled out of class early from her stepfather, and he picked her up, and there's witnesses, what have you, and then she was just never seen again.
Right. And his story is that he took her home, and then he left, and then he came home and she was gone.
Yes. And there was this kind of maybe sort of runaway note, but people aren't sure that she actually wrote it, or people think it was older.
And there were a lot of allegations that he had been sexually assaulting her. Like,
there was like a
definitely
video.
Motive.
Yeah. There was like a video of her like topless that was questionable.
And at the time, he never got arrested for her murder. And we'll update you in a second on that. But when police finally went to search the house, they found a house full of pipe bombs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he was like kind of, I hate to use the word crazy necessarily, but he was like kind of one of those crazy like aluminum hat wearing kind of guys.
He had a plan to blow up it was a union in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah.
Something like electrical workers or something.
Yeah.
But have they officially charged him, or they just released a statement that
I think
they're pursuing it?
What I saw is that the prosecutor's office is pursuing Michael Turney.
Yeah. So
yay!
Yes. And her sister Sarah has
been a
never forgot.
Yeah.
Huge. Crime Junkie did a big story. And there's a whole podcast called Missing Alyssa.
It was a great podcast.
Yeah.
Very well done.
But like 20 years later. And I honestly believe, like, after all of the podcasts I've listened to and all the research, I think she's buried under the Desert Ridge Shopping Center, which I used to think about. I used to live right by that. Yeah. And so I used to think about it every time I went shopping there.
I think she's in Eastern California.
Oh,
or
like
Western
in the desert?
Arizona.
No, I totally think she's at the Desert Ridge.
I don't think she'll ever be found, but I do think that he will hopefully.
Because he was in construction.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the pre-construction. So if he put her anywhere and then buildings were built, they'll never find her. But huge update. If you haven't heard of the case, Missing Alyssa's amazing.
Yeah. And it's ALISSA. Great update in that. There's another huge update that came out last week it came out today and yesterday while we're recording this.
Today's June 10th. So that's where we're at.
When you listen, it'll have come out last week. And that is the disappearance of those two children.
The fucking stupid blonde mom and the guy. Yeah, Lori and...
That blonde lady, Lori, who fled to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And her ex-husband, and then her weird current boyfriend who's obsessed with like apocalyptic bunkers. You know, their children that were missing for so long and no one seemed to be looking for. Yeah, they found both
of their remains at his house.
Yeah, it's very sad.
And Madeleine McCann.
Oh, Madeleine McCann
has a suspect. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, in that case,
what is happening? Like
2020.
2020. Man, hindsight is 2020.
Seriously,
I don't know. 2020 is insane. What's fucking next? Are aliens going to come down tomorrow?
Jack the Ripper gets solved.
Wouldn't that Zodiac?
Oh my God, that'd be fantastic.
Dude, 2020 is the year for shit to happen. So if there's like a project you've been thinking about or some hobby you want to take up, this is the fucking year to do it, dude. I'm telling you.
You know what case I really want to be solved now, though?
What?
The Long Island serial killer.
Oh, yes.
I recently listened to the Lisk podcast. If you haven't listened to that, you must. There's also a documentary on Netflix about it. Or no, it's on Amazon Prime, excuse me.
I would like R. Kelly to never come out of prison in 20s, like ever.
Ever. Yeah. I'd love that to get resolved as well. Maybe those things are going to be happening. I'm hoping. 2020, give us this at least.
I would like my feet to shrink a little bit so I could find cuter shoes.
I'd like to not get bloated when I eat eggs. Well, are we just going to talk about what we want? Also, by the way, I'm Sarah.
I'm Caitlin.
And this is Luminol, a true crime, strange happenings, histories, mostly true crime kind of podcast.
This is a podcast.
Yeah.
Where we talk and you listen, and that's all.
Absorb us through the holes in your body.
Okay. What?
Just continue. It's fine.
Ew. Our theme today is...
Victorian. What did you just do?
Spit bubbles came out of my mouth when I tried to...
Say Victorian?
Well, I was trying to make like a drum roll of a...
Oh.
and spit bubbles came out.
Victorian.
I'm going to go first, and I'll talk about my trigger warnings while Sarah pours our beer and talks about no, she'll talk about the beer and pour it, and then I will tell you my trigger warnings. This is a podcast.
Hey, guys, we're trying. Okay. Oh, also, next week we will be giving a public update on the Luminol Ball. We're actually recording this before it happens. That was our big fundraiser for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and we'll give an update the next episode. Or you can follow us on Instagram for like a more timely update.
Speaking of, we're on Twitter now.
Yeah.
We're on the Twit.
Well,
talk
about why we decided to join the Twits.
Oh, yeah. So I have had a Twitter for 100 years and I've never used it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm trying to be more active. I really just use it to creep on other people's tweets. Like Chrissy Teigen is the best person to follow on Twitter ever. But so when I was kind of reactivating my personal Twitter, I was curious if luminol had ever been mentioned, and we have. Like Hunt a Killer and a couple of things have. Oh. I didn't even know this before. You can like share your Instagram to Twitter.
Yeah.
So we've been mentioned, but like obviously we aren't not tagged. But there's also a handle that's taken that's at Luminol Podcast. I have no followers. I've never posted, but someone took the handle in February 2020, and I was like, I better take Luminol Pod.
Yeah,
to match our but whatever. We want Luminol Pod anyways because that's our Instagram and our email. But
yeah. But yeah, it's weird. So we were like, we don't want anyone to think that that's our podcast one. It's Luminol Pod.
So if you're a tweeter,
I got the tweet.
Well, I can't think of a bird pun.
Get in our nest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beer.
We are having more Oregon beers because I brought so much beer back from Oregon, and we're still trying to actively avoid stores if possible.
Oregon, the state. There's not organs in our.
We got beer from organs.
Not piano.
Oh, I thought you meant like bodily organs.
No, I did.
Oh, but not pianos.
Oh, you said that like you were the Phantom of the Opera. So
that's how I assume people who like organs talk, like body organs. We have the Chasing Hazy IPA from Backside Brewing Company. Backside Brewing is in Roseburg, Oregon. This has 6.5% alcohol by volume, and of course it's a hazy. It's a New England style India Pale Ale with copious amounts of sticky green hops.
Ew.
It's the dankest hazy you will encounter. That's what the can says. I'm not cool enough to talk like that.
We know.
Shut the fudge up. But the can, I'll pass it to Caitlin next to see, but it's a really foggy forest, and there's a guy with a beer looking, and deep in the distance, there's the silhouette of our friend.
Bigfoot.
Sasquatch. Cheers.
So zoom tight. That is dank.
It's almost sweet. In the throat, right?
It's dank.
Stop.
It's dank in the throat.
Oh, it might be unfiltered.
Oh, there's a lot of floaties in here. Ew.
Ew, look at my floaties.
Ew.
This is definitely unfiltered.
Ew, like floaties.
There's some little holes.
Oh my God. It's like orange juice pulp. Ew. That's a lot of floaties.
Caitlin won't stop saying that's a lot of floaties.
Like,
oh my God.
Are they expecting children who don't know how to swim?
I don't know if I can drink it like this.
Floaties.
Okay, well, this beer is full of floaties.
Weird. Okay, my case is pretty terrible. I'll give the trigger warnings, and then if that is something that bothers you, obviously it bothers all of us, but I mean, if that is something you feel like you can't listen to, skip ahead to Sarah's, who has assured me hers is not as terrible.
Nope.
Mine does involve infanticide. It involves babies being murdered. I'm not going to go into detail, but that is the premise of my whole story.
So by skipping to mine, she means about halfway through the episode.
Yeah. So for my Victorian crime episode, I am going to talk to you guys about baby farms and the story of Amelia Dyer, which I'm going to talk about. I don't want to spoil what happened to her, but I did put a never let this bitch out stamp on the top of my story.
Yeah, I got the stamp, so you know it's going to be bad.
Yes. So today I want to talk about farms, baby farms, human baby farms.
Okay, the image coming to my head is puppy farms.
No.
Okay.
Human baby farms. Yes, that was a thing, mostly in late Victorian era Britain. In simple terms, it was trading an infant for money. So selling a baby. Some baby farmers, as they were called, adopted children for lump sums. Others took monthly payments. There were a lot of different reasons, but the two biggest reasons babies ended up on a baby farm, which is literally what they called it, and baby farmers, is one, wealthy mothers who just had extra money and didn't want to take care of their baby would give them to a baby farm just to keep until they were like a toddler or a little bit older. And Jane Austen was actually, her and her siblings were put to a baby farm to nurse until they were a little more grown.
It's like a little training. Well, this isn't quite a baby farm, but the same idea where you trade money for like a small child's room and board. In Les Miserables, if you've seen or read that, the young girl is sent to this house and paid.
Except this was like in mass.
And
like,
multiple babies.
Yeah, one woman would be like, I want 15 of you, sell me your babies, and I'll just have this little baby farm.
It's like a never-ending daycare.
Yeah. So back then...
what a name, though. Baby farm.
Yeah. Oh, and then the other one that moms put their babies out to nurse was when babies are illegitimate, having a baby out of wedlock, which is very bad news bears.
Stop doing that out there.
And the Poor Law Amendment Act of 1834, which it's obviously a poor law, it gives it away.
Do they have to call it that?
It made it so that fathers of illegitimate children did not have to pay for or support those children.
Excuse me?
So baby farms would take them. So like obviously single mothers who had a baby out of wedlock had a ton of pressure or reasons to give their baby to someone else.
Especially in Victorian times.
Yeah. And there wasn't adoption, so there was supposed to be an understanding that the babies would be taken care of. But the term body farms and baby farmers quickly became an insult, and everyone kind of knew mistreatment and neglect was really the case. It's always crazy. This always bothers me in so many cases when you're like, oh, everyone knew and they whispered about it, but no one fucking did anything.
I mean...
But I guess we're there in 2020.
Look around, Miss Caitlin.
So it was essentially the OG foster care and adoption, but like in a very shitty way.
They like sort of tried, and then it was lucrative and they didn't try anymore.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world, babies.
And obviously this created a lot of emotional distance between parents and their children, but it wasn't permanent for everyone. Some mothers it was, like if they were illegitimate, they were giving up the baby forever. Some parents or mothers would give up their baby just for a couple years and then want to come back for them. But in case this doesn't sound bad enough, it gets worse.
Of course it does. Not
only were most of the babies mistreated, many of them were outright murdered.
Oh,
especially in lump sum adoption. So, like I said, there were some where the mom would give the baby and be like, yeah, like in Les Mis, like, I'll give you $100 a month. That will pay for everything she needs plus some. But in the lump sum, they were like, here's $5,000. Take my baby.
It's like the reverse of somebody outside of Walmart with a box of kittens for free. Like you have an empty box. You're like, put your babies in here. Gonna give me some money. And then you take the babies back.
Baby farmers learned quickly that the lump sum didn't last for long. It didn't cover the infant's costs for very long. So caregivers, like kind of across the board, I'm going to talk about one story in particular, but caregivers would neglect the babies until they starved to death or just murder them, like total infanticide. Many were caught, tried, and hanged, which brings us to Amelia Dyer.
Oh.
Amelia was born sometime in 1837, before dates were invented.
For some reason, I thought you meant like going on dates at first. I was like, yeah, you couldn't date then. It was weird and Victorian.
No, before calendars were invented.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
She was trained as a nurse and a midwife and began operating a baby farm sometime in the 1860s. She was born into a large family. Amelia was a natural caregiver. She was very well educated. She loved reading and poetry. She's kind of like Sarah, which is creepy. When she was young, her mother developed typhus, and Amelia took care of her until her mom's death and took care of her siblings. Then she met and married a man named George Thomas, who was 35 years older than her. And she stopped talking to all of her family. And their marriage was weird because he was actually like 55, but he told her he was 40, and she was like 20, but told him she was 30. So they both lied. So the age gap was way bigger than they realized.
The good old line about your age.
But when you both do it,
they were meant to be.
It just makes that gap really big.
They sound like they had a lot in common.
Yeah. They had one child together, but soon after her birth, Amelia's husband died. Oh. So Amelia was now a single mother with a new baby, and she needed income. It was actually one of the nurses who had trained Amelia who introduced her to baby farming. So Amelia started placing ads in the local paper saying that she was a young, respectable, married woman who would provide a safe and loving home for children in exchange for a fee. At first, she actually did take care of the